Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Micrasvision 2025, broadcast to you today from the Blackfriars Redux pub in the heart of Tiergang in the International Mandate. My name's Barnaby. I'm going to be the host for this evening's contest. Now, you've seen the videos, you've seen the entries already. Tonight, we are going to find out who is the winner, who follows in the footsteps of the Filthy Bar Stalls last year. Who won the contest with the song Fuck Micras, and surprisingly you all decided to turn up again this year. This year's contest we've had 28 nations, including for the very first time Sampantal and the Three Kingdoms. We also welcome back Telia to the contest, who last competed back in 2022. With all that said though, I don't want to wait any longer. We're going to go right into the votes today, and we're going to go in the order that the nations submitted their votes, mainly because doing that saved me a whole host of time in actually putting this all together. And so we're going to start off with Dow. Dow entered the song Henlad fi Nadai by Bryn Terfel and the orchestra of the Welsh National Opera. On the right hand side of your screen you can see the first 7 sets of scoring points that they have awarded, and we will go straight in to their 8 points, which Dow awarded to Shirov. 10 points from Dow go to Chakaristan. And finally 12 points from Dow go to Calbion. And that completes Dow's votes. This is our first look today at the scoreboard. As you can see, the golden numbers represent that nation's total score, and then on the left hand side, if that nation received any points from the previous nation to have voted, they'll be displayed there. Any which way, we're going to move on to the second nation to vote, which was Floria. Floria entered the song Euphoria by Lorraine, and their first 7 sets of points are on the screen now. 8 points from Floria go to Telia. 10 points from Floria go to Mercury. And finally 12 points from Floria go to Shirov. And that completes the Florian vote. The next set of points come from Chakaristan. Chakaristan entered the song Unk Mare by Kumar Sanu and Kavita Krishnamurthy. Their first 7 sets of points are already on the screen. So we'll go to their 8 points, which they gave to the Darkberry Islands. 10 points from Chakaristan go to Emilia. And finally 12 points from Chakaristan go to the Mondosphere. And that completes the Chakari votes. And as we go through tonight, I'm also just going to point out a few things across the scoreboard as we go along, any interesting storylines that emerge. At the minute, Shirov have the lead, a 7-point advantage over the Mondosphere and Mercury, but with just 3 of our 28 nations having voted, it's very, very early days. So we'll move on to our 4th nation to vote, which was Senya. Senya entered the song Kaufmann und Maid by Saltatio Mortis, Sasha, Feuerschwanz, Subway to Sally, Tanzfoot, Chandmal, D'Artagnan and Patty Gurdy. A lot of artists there to reel off for me. Anyway, their first 7 sets of points are already on the screen, and Senya's 8 points go to the Three Kingdoms. 10 points go to Mercury, and finally Senya's 12 points go to Telia. And that completes the Senyan votes. A vote that now means that Mercury are top of the leaderboard. Mercury, of course, won the competition back in 2013. The initial contest, having saw the contest revamped after it went out for a few years. They will be looking to win their second title. Could they do that? At the minute, they would. They're top of the leaderboard, but a lot of nations are breathing down their necks, such as Shirov, who won in 2019, but a lot of nations behind them have never won before or will be looking to do so for the first time. Telia, the Mondosphere, Emilia, the Darkberry Islands, who came very close last year, missing out by just 2 points. So lots of nations will be have a lot of different storylines going forward. Right, enough waffle. The next nation to have voted was the Dartberry Islands. The Dartberry Islands submitted the song The 10th Avenue Freeze Out by Bruce Springsteen, and their first sets of points are on the screen already. 8 points from Dartberry Islands go to Mercury. 10 points from the Dartberry Islands go to Emilia. And finally, the top 12 points from the Dartberry Islands go to Senya. And that completes the DBI's votes. Mercury now just increasing their lead, but Emilia coming right back into it as well. Very exciting early on. Next nation to have voted was Sampantal. Sampantal entered the song Jinsei Kakurembo by Hiroshi Itsuki and Kensuke Kyo. And their first sets of points are already on the screen. And they awarded 8 points to Hermu. Sampantal awarded 10 points to Telia. And Sampantal awarded their 12 points to Dow. That completes Sampantal's votes. And that puts Telia into the lead of the competition. Telia only ever competed back in 2022. This is only their second ever time entering the contest. Could they win it? It would be a story. It would definitely be exciting. They're hosting this summer's FMF World Cup. Could we be going back to Mercury again next year for Micrasvision? Right, the next nation that voted was Mecklenburg. Mecklenburg entered the song Lisa Pentras Bildoin by Persone, and their first sets of points are already on the screen. 8 points from Mecklenburg go to Senya. 10 points from Mecklenburg go to the Imperial Federation. And finally, the top 12 points from Mecklenburg go to Emilia. And wow, look how close it is at the top now. After every 7 nations to have voted, we're going to take stock because we're now a quarter of the way through. And you can see here it's very, very tight at the top. Telia, Emilia and Mercury separated by just 2 points right at the top. We've talked about Mercury, we've talked about Telia. Emilia would be looking to win this competition for the first time ever. A nation that loves Micrasvision. They'll really be hoping to be able to top the scoreboard at the end of this competition. At the other end, though, the International Mandate, last year's winners, this year's hosts, yet to get a single point on the board. Very, very rarely do we see a nation finish with the dreaded nul point. Since the competition's revamp in 2013, it has not happened yet. Could the International Mandate be the first? A few years ago, you might remember Mecklenburg almost finished on nil point, only to be saved in the very last sets of scoring points from Mercury to finish on 6. The International Mandate will be hoping to clear that, but they need some sets of points to avoid that ignominy. That said, the Banasian Union have only got 1 point as well so far, so it's not looking great so far for those nations at the bottom. Anyway, we're going to move on. The next set of points come from Calbion. Calbion entered the song Penelope Song by Lorena McKennett, and their first 7 sets of scoring points are already on the screen. 8 points from Calbion go to Senya. 10 points from Calbion go to the Three Kingdoms. And finally, the top 12 points from Calbion go to Dow. And that completes the Calbane votes. And yeah, wow, Senya joining that leading pack at the top there. Very, very exciting early on. The next nation to have voted was the Three Kingdoms. They are making their debut at this year's competition, and they entered the song Templars by Sabaton. Their first 7 sets of scoring points are already on the screen, and we'll move on to their 8 points, which they awarded to Hermu. 10 points go to Calbion, and finally 12 points from the Three Kingdoms go to the Mondosphere. That completes the votes from the Three Kingdoms. The next nation to have voted was Emilia. Amelia entered the song Princess of Power by Marina, and their first 7 sets of scoring points are already on the screen. 10 points from 8, sorry, not 10 points, 8 points, getting ahead of myself there. 8 points from Amelia go to Mecklenburg. 10 points from Amelia go to Floria. And finally, the top 12 points from Amelia go to Sanoma. That completes the Amelian vote. Very, very tight there at the top. Senya and Mondosphere only separated by 1 point. The Mondosphere, they do love a good Muppet entry. They'll be hoping that that can carry them to victory this time around. Never won it before the Mondosphere. Right, the next nation to vote is Shirov. Shirov entered the song Yuliang Daibao Wo Di Xin. Please never get me to try and pronounce anything Chinese ever again. By Teresa Teng. Shirov's first sets of points are on the screen already, and they awarded their 8 points to Nouvelle Alexandrie. They awarded their 10 points to Sanoma, and finally Shirov awarded their 12 points to Hermu. And those last couple of points from Hermu has really propelled them up the leaderboard. They're into 3rd place now. Ahead of Mercury, but behind Senya and the Mondosphere. At the bottom of the standings, still the Venetian Union and the International Mandate have stayed at the bottom. The Natopia, though, picking up a couple of sets of points to get away from the bottom. The next nation to vote is Erla. Erla entered the song Streets of Your Town by the Go-Betweens, and their first 7 sets of scoring points are already on the screen. 8 points from Erla go to Mercury. 10 points from Erla go to the Darkberry Islands. And finally, Erla's 12 points are awarded to Venyo. The next nation to vote is the home nation of the International Mandate. The Mandate entered the song You'll Have Time by William Shatner, and their first 7 sets of scoring points are already on the screen. 8 points from the Mandate go to Hermu. 10 points from the Mandate are awarded to Sanoma. And 12 points from the Mandate, and with the best wishes of the barman, 12 points are awarded to the Venetian Union. Well, that has moved the Venetian Union well away from the bottom of the scoreboard. They were on just 1 point, they're now up to 13 at the top of the standings. So Hermu, Senya, Mercury, all very close at the top of the standings. The next nation to vote is the Hexarchy. The Hexarchy entered the song Road Rage by Miracle of Sound, and their first 7 sets of points are already on the screen. Eight points from the Hexarchy go to Mercury. 10 points from the Hexarchy go to the Darkberry Islands. And finally, 12 points from the Hexarchy go to Hermu. And that completes the votes from the Hexarchy. Right, so we're now halfway through the competition, and as you can see at the bottom of the standings, the International Mandate still yet to score a point. Not looking good for the host country, but at the top of the standings, Hermu now have leapfrogged Mercury and Senya to go to the top. Mercury looking good as well, as a Senya, who have picked up points consistently so far. Even Sanoma and the Mondosphere remaining in play as well. It's all getting very exciting. Let's move on to the next nation to have voted, which was the Imperial Federation. The Imperial Federation entered the song Dreadnought by Sabaton. Yes, the Imperial Federation and the Three Kingdoms entered the same artist, but it is what it is. And the Imperial Federation awarded the following sets of points. 8 points go to Sanoma. 10 points go to Nouvelle Alexandrie. And finally, 12 points go to the Hexakey. And that completes the votes from the Imperial Federation. And we move on to Mercury. Mercury once again entered a Queen song for the millionth year in a row. They submitted this year I Want to Break Free, and their first 7 sets of points are already on the screen. 8 points go to the Darkberry Islands. 10 points go to Crateland. And finally 12 points goes to Senya. That completes the votes from Mercury. And the next, and that set of results means that Senya have now retaken the lead, 4 points ahead of Mercury, way back to 13 points for Mercury in third. So really swinging the scales at the minute towards Senya and Hermu, it seems. Right, the next nation to vote is Sanoma. Sanoma entered the song Genghis Khan by Genghis Khan, and their first 7 sets of scoring points are already on the screen. 8 points go to Emilia. 10 points go to Shirov. And finally, the top 12 points from Sanoma go to Hermu. And that has put Hermu back into the lead of the competition. Just chopping and changing constantly at the top at the minute. Very, very exciting. Hermu, of course, they hosted the competition back in 2022 after winning in 2021. The next nation to submit their points is Hermu. Speak of the devil. They entered the song Mahabat Ber Mahan by Dimash Kudaibergen. Their first sets of points are already on the screen, and their 8 points are awarded to Shirov. They've awarded 10 points to Sampantal, and finally 12 points from Hermu go to Sanoma. And that completes the points from Hermu. And we will carry on, as that 12 points has really thrown Sanoma into the mix now as well. Still a few points back from Hermu, but it is still all to play for at the top of the leaderboard. The next nation to vote was Crateland. Crateland entered the song Love Is Noise by The Verve, and their first 7 sets of scoring points are already on the screen. 8 points from Crateland go to Mercury. 10 points from Crateland go to Telia. And finally, the top 12 sets of scoring points from Crateland go to Floria. And that completes the Cratish vote. And you can see there Crateland scores, meaning Mercury are back in the hunt as well. And at the bottom, Karuma Shachir are finally into double figures. The next nation to vote was Telia. Telia submitted the song Nessun Dorma by Luciano Pavarotti. And their first sets of points were already on screen. 8 points from Telia go to Mercury. 10 points from Telia go to Floria. And finally, 12 points from Telia go to Crateland. That completes the Telian vote. And look how tight it is to the top again. Just 2 points separating Senya, Mercury and Hermu at the top of the leaderboard. Right, the next nation to vote was the Mondosphere. Mondos submitted the song Jungle Boogie by the Muppets, and Mondo's first 7 votes are on the screen to your right. 8 points from the Mondosphere go to Emilia. 10 points go to Natopia. And finally, 12 points from the Mondosphere go to Mercury. That completes Mondo's votes. And we are now 3/4 of the way through. And as you can see there, Mercury now have a bit of a lead over Senja, but it's not by much, still very much all to play for. Just 7 points of gap and only 10 points back to Hermu in third. And at the bottom, the International Mandate have finally received their first sets of scoring points. They're on 5 now, so they are not going to get the ignominy of a null point. They are, though, still behind Mecklenburg's points tally of 6 from 2023, so they'll be hoping to receive another set of points to avoid being the worst of all time. Right, the next nation to vote was New Batavia. New Batavia submitted the song Aline by Francisco, and you can see their first 7 sets of points on the screen, and they awarded 8 points to Karoum Ashachia. 10 points go to Calbian, and finally 12 points from New Batavia go to Mercury. And that has given Mercury a bit of a commanding lead now at the top of the leaderboard. Hermu and Senja are tied for second place. I should just say that when two nations are tied on the same map point, it goes to then who's got the most 12 points, and if not, the most 10 points, and so on downwards. So Hermu are ahead on that criteria. But they are both now 19 points behind Mercury, so Mercury opening up a little bit of a gap here. The next nation to vote, though, is Karoum Ashachia. They entered the song Bailamos by Bashar al-Jawad featuring Al-Jawi, and their first 7 sets of points are on the screen. 8 points go to Senja, 10 points go to New Batavia, and finally 12 points from Karoum Ashachia go to Shakaristan. And that gives Senja a little bit of a way back in. They received 8 points there and have cut Mercury's lead down to just 13 points now, so still not over just yet. Right, the next nation to vote is the Bernasian Union. They entered the song Dope Smoker by Sleep, which was an hour long, and I don't think anyone actually got through. If anything, it just made people go to sleep. But their first 7 sets of points are on the screen, and their 8 points were awarded to Erla. 10 points go to Nouvelle Alexandrie, and finally 12 points from the Bernasian Union go to the Mondosphere. And that 7 points for the International Mandate has seen them climb to 12 points, so double figures for them, and Mecklenburg's record remains. Meanwhile, elsewhere, only 1 point for Hermu, nothing for Senja or Mercury. It's going to take a few points. There are a couple of nations left to go, 4 more nations to vote, but Senja and Hermu are going to need points quickly if they want to pass Mercury. Right, the next nation to vote is Nouvelle Alexandrie. They entered the song La Lacta by Lenin. Lenin, of course, the artist who won the competition before back in 2020. And he's out here to try and do it again. Not quite so successful this time, but it is what it is. Anyway, the Nouvelle Alexandrie's first 7 sets of points are on the screen, and their 8 points were awarded to Mercury. 10 points go to the Bernasian Union, and finally 12 points go to Vanyo. Right, onwards. The next nation to vote is Aportia. Aportia entered the song Till I'm Done by Paloma Faith, and their first set of points are on the screen now. 8 points from Aportia go to Natopia. 10 points go to the Mondosphere. And finally 12 points from Aportia go to Mercury. And all that means is that now, with just 2 nations left to vote, Mercury have done it. They are the winners of Micrasvision 2025. Even if Hermu were to get the two remaining sets of 12 points, they would not be able to catch Mercury's tally. So congratulations to Mercury. They've finally managed to regain the Micrasvision title. So well done to them. That said, we still have two more nations to vote, so we will quickly skip through them. And the first of which is Natopia. Natopia entered the song Abracadabra by Lady Gaga, and their first 7 sets of votes are on the screen. Natopia awarded 8 points to the Mondosphere, 10 points to the Venetian Union, and Natopia gave their 12 points to a Porsche. And finally, the last nation to vote is Venio. Venio entered the song Sara Perce Ti Amo by Ricci e Pevori, and their first 7 sets of points are on the screen now. Venio's 8 points go to the Darkberry Islands, 10 points go to the Three Kingdoms, and finally Venio's 12 points go to Telia. And that completes Micrasvision 2025. Let's have a look at the final standings. And it is Mercury who are the winners, 134 points in the end, a substantial margin of victory, the third highest I think on record, and that has seen them run away with the title. Complete contrast to last year where it literally took until the last vote to find out the winner. This year Mercury were very much assured of it, but there were some great songs which also scored highly and did well. Senya receiving 6 points from Venio right at the end to climb onto 100 points as well. And we can look down the rest of the table as well. Hermu finishing in 3rd place with 94 points ahead of Mondosphere and Venio in 4th and 5th. And unfortunately it's the International Mandate, the host of the competition this year, who finish bottom, ahead, or behind rather, Mecklenburg and Erla tied on 19 points. I'd just like to thank everyone again for participating in Micrasvision this year. It's always so fun to do, although I am very glad that next year I won't have to do it. Good luck, Joe, and yeah, have a good evening, and thank you very much for tuning in.